In this assignment, we're going to learn how to make a trifold brochure or menu. When I say trifold, I basically just mean that it folds into 3 sections. So you'll have your cover right here. It'll have a logo and the name of your company and maybe a slogan or a map or some credit card stuff, some contact info. And then on the inside, you're going to put your products. If it's a brochure or if it's a menu, you can have food. So you have some options on what you want to do, but basically that's what the outline of the project is. You can make yours about any of these things. I really don't care what you make yours out of. Like I said over here, the weirdest thing I got once was a student who made dolls out of meat. Okay, so anything goes on this as long as it's, school appropriate, of course. I'm going to be giving you a template to download, and we're going to go over that in a second. I want to go over a few things on the template though. First, you see these blinking red lines. These are guides that are on your template. Do not worry, they don't print. Yours are probably going to be blue instead of red, but they're not going to print. It's just like when you have a grid. You can turn them on and off with Control H, just like the grid, but it just kind of separates the different columns on the brochure. And then the other thing I wanted to show you is where it's blinking yellow. That is called the bleed area. You need to make sure that your background goes all the way off to the edge, but I want you to know that when you're setting up a print document, that there's always extra image that gets cut off on your paper when you're printing. So you need to make sure you don't have anything important in that edge, and that's also holds true for margins. I don't have any margin lines drawn, but I want you to know that you should never put any text or photos over in the margin area. You always want to leave extra space. You don't want to have your picture or your text being folded in the fold. So please make sure that you always leave space around the edge of your page and in the middle columns so that nothing gets too close to the edge. All right, so let me show you the template you're going to download. This is what it looks like. I have this all organized for you. You can see my brochure when I put it on top here, how everything has these three columns here. The first thing that you're going to put in here is a background. So you'll see I have this background layer here in your template. You may look for a photo in Pixabay, but just try to make sure that it's not too busy, because otherwise you're not going to be able to read your text. So you can see over here something where you can read the text. You don't want to have a really busy background, otherwise you won't be able to read it. So that's one option for your background, is to have a picture that you find on Pixabay that's kind of simple. The other option is to make a color or a color fade gradient. So let me show you how to do that real quick. So I'm going to click on the background layer, and then I'm going to click on this right here, this little circle. Click on that, and you can see you can choose solid color or gradient or pattern. I'm going to choose solid color first so you can see what that looks like, and you can just pick whatever color you want that way, and you can say okay. If you ever want to change it, you can just double click on it and change it to another color. All right, I'm going to throw that away because I don't want to keep it. I want to show you how to make a gradient too. Gradient just means color fade. So if you do gradient fill, you can click on this little arrow, and there's all of these pre-made gradients that you can choose from. So you can do that, and you can say, oh, you can edit this too. Let me go back to that. So I'm going to double click this to edit it. If you click on the gradient, you can see that it gives you this color bar here, and you can click these bottom colors to change them. So let's say I want that to be black. You can do something like that, and you can change the gradient that way. You can control how fast it blends. Add extra colors. If you get too many colors in there and you didn't want all of them, just pull down and you can delete them. Okay, so that's another option that you can have, is gradients. You can also separate your columns into different colors. So if you wanted to get the shape tool, let's say maybe you wanted your cover to be a different color, you can just draw rectangles to make backgrounds. Maybe you want the cover to be one color and you want your background of your product things to be another color. You can also go in and do it like that. You can also do gradients in that as well. So if you click here, you can do gradients. All right, so that's enough about the background. I think you guys can figure that out. what I really want to focus on is the main part of this assignment. Every year that I give this assignment, people want to skip this part. Don't skip it. It's going to save you a lot of time. And that part is, I want you to only focus on making one section, okay? Do not try to make all of your sections at once. If you do, it's going to take you 10 times longer, and at the end, your brochure or your menu is not going to look good. So you really want to just focus on one thing. So after you completely build this one thing, then you're going to copy that and you're just going to repopulate it. That way all your fonts are lined up, they all match. So please do not skip around and like put some stuff for this one and then stuff for this one. Just build your first one only, okay? Let's talk a little bit about this template and how you can get started on your first one. So notice this template over here, it has a lot of folders. This is definitely a project you want to be organized and put everything in folders. If you do not, you're going to have 30 layers in here and not know where anything is. I promise you, if you take the time to keep things in these folders, the better it's going to be. So we're going to have this front area here. I'm just going to ignore that for now. We don't want to work on that yet. What I want to work on is the center right here, and then I'm going to open this folder and we're going to work on product 1. Okay, so notice how I have my product 1 stuff. If you open that folder, you can see that I have my product name, I have my description, and I have my price, and then I have just like this little temporary template guide that you can kind of follow to make sure that you keep all of your text inside this little gray box. And your picture is flexible. You don't have to have your picture necessarily line up directly in this box. Maybe you want to put in a circle shape here. You can put your picture in a circle. Maybe you'll look at mine, you'll notice that I made my picture go all the way up here and I moved the title over there. You can do that as well, but just make sure that you're just working on this first one. Okay, so let's go here. Product 1 name. Let's say that maybe you're doing a restaurant and you're gonna have pizza. You can just retype inside that box. I already have type layers set up for you. And then I'm just gonna leave that description for now, but you can retype your description of your product and the price. So I want you to change the fonts at least on the title. I don't mind if you leave the font for that one because your description should be kind of basic, but I want you to go to your title of your product there and pick something, you know, that's a little bit different and bigger. Now you'll notice on mine that I moved mine over here. Maybe you want to make it bigger. I don't mind how you arrange this as long as you are staying inside of this gray box here. Okay, so if you have a background, let's say that your background is dark, which mine was. I'm going to go ahead and turn that black. And you'll notice that when I turn this off, I can't see my text. So you're going to want to go ahead and make your font a color that shows up on your background. So I'm going to highlight this word pizza. Maybe I'm going to make that word red, and I'm going to click on this description here, and I'm going to highlight that and make this white so it shows up on the black background. And then the price here, I'll go ahead and make that white as well. Okay, so now when I turn off this template, because it's not going to stay on there, that template is just a guide to show you where to put stuff. You need to make sure that you can read your text. All right, then the last part here is to just put in the picture of pizza. So we're going to do that. All right, so to get your product pictures in here, what you can do is you can use the shape tool to draw a shape. If you want it to be a circle, you can draw a circle right there and have your picture in a circle. Or you can I'm just going to do a rectangle for this. I'm going to draw a rectangle, and notice how I'm staying inside of that gray template area. And it doesn't matter what color it is because we're going to do what's called a clipping mask, just like you did on those polyscapes where you made a picture inside of a shape. So I have that shape there, and now I have already copied a picture of pizza. I'm going to do Control V. I'm going to place it on top. So notice how I have my picture and I have my shape directly below it. I'm going to right click on here and do Create Clipping Mask. And now I have the pizza inside my shape. You can use the Move tool to move it around or resize it. And so that's how you do that. So what you're going to do next is, after you get your first product done, you can go ahead and just hide this temp guide. You don't need to have that on there. So we have product 1. What you want to do is duplicate this 3 times, because we're just going to put product 2, product 3, product 4 all down here. And once again, this is just a guide to keep us lined up where it needs to go. So I'm going to duplicate product 1. You can right click on that and say duplicate group, and you're going to call it product 2 and say OK. And then you're going to get the move tool, and make sure when you use the move tool right now that this is set to group instead of layer. Otherwise you're just going to move one layer. So I'm going to move a group, and I'm going to slide it down here and just make sure it lines up in that box. And then with the same thing I did before, I'm going to right click on product 2, and I'm going to say duplicate group, and we're going to call it product 3. Okay, get the move tool and drag it inside of that template. You can use your arrow keys to just nudge it a little bit so it fits perfectly. And then once again, right click and do duplicate group and name it product 4. And then you're going to get the move tool and drag that copy down there. Use your arrow keys just to nudge it. Now we can get rid of this guide here. We do not need that anymore. And you can see how fast we populated that. That's why if you skip this part, it's going to take you so much longer to do this project. This is definitely the way to do it. Now we have product 2, and here we can go ahead and just drag your cursor over that and type something else there. You can retype the description there. Maybe you're going to change the price to $10, and you can change the picture the same way. You can just click on that picture and either hide it or delete it, and then go on the internet and find a new picture. We're going to find a new picture, and we can right click on this and say copy image, paste it in here, put it on top of that shape that you have, right click it and say create clipping mask, and you can use the move tool to shrink it and move it how you want to. And there you go. So you're going to do that all the way down to get product 2, 3, and 4 and populate it the same way. You can see how fast this goes if you do it that way. If you're copying all your groups, you can do it really fast by just retyping in the name of the next product and retyping the description and pasting a new picture in. So let me show you how to get the right side. So we can just go ahead and hide the right side. We don't really need that on. It's just a guide for you. What we want to do is duplicate the center group. So again, right click on it and say duplicate group, and we can call this right, and get your move tool and then just slide this over. If you hold your shift key, it'll stay perfectly straight. And then you want to drop that. Those white lines, by the way, are not actually in there. All right, you want to drag that over there, and boom. So now you have the right side. And then you do the same thing. You just open this up, and you can rename these if you want. This is actually product 5. This will be product 6. Whoops, that's all right. You can type just the number 7 and 8, and then just open all those and redo the names in the picture. So this is really the fastest way to do the inside of your menu or brochure. All right, so you'll notice on mine, I have my right side done and my center is done. And then what you'll have to do for the front, let me go over that a little bit with you. I have a template in there that tells you, it says logo and address and stuff like that. You don't really have to follow that one as close. This is a little bit more free, what you do on your cover of your brochure or menu. The center and right panels you should do, the way I showed you, but this you can be flexible. What I'm looking for though is a logo. I don't want you to just type a word there. At least do something to it. You see here how I've arced the text a little bit. And by the way, if you ever want to do that, if you click the text tool and you type something, you can click this button up here and you can arc it. So I want to see some type of effects on your text. Let me actually click on my text. You can also do these effects here, like your blending options, if you wanted to add a stroke outline to it or a shadow, stuff like that. You can add that to it. So I want to see some text worked into a nice logo. You don't have to have some drawing like I have, but if you want to have a picture of a restaurant or a store or something like that, or any other photograph or graphic that you think matches what you've done your brochure menu on, you can put that there. So on the cover, notice how I kind of changed the color a little bit. I have a little extra layer in here to separate the cover from the rest of it. I just have like a little highlight behind my logo. And last but not least, make sure you have some kind of contact information. I have a website here. You should put a phone number, address, fake website, something, because any brochure or menu should have some type of contact information on it, and then you can have some type of slogan. And then I also put some credit card logos. You don't have to have all the same things as mine. These are all just suggestions. As long as you have a nice logo and you fill the space up, don't leave it all blank, fill it up with some type of picture or graphic, and you should be good to go.